Good glowing greetings, Adam's child. Welcome to this week's sermon dedicated to the many, many questions I have had as I have wandered the wasteland and researched its lore. I have had many random questions just pop into my head. Questions that couldn't be made into a full-blown video all on their own, and that overall are rather inconsequential and pretty silly to boot. So after months of compiling these random questions, I finally have enough to make one big video. You'll notice a theme with some of these questions because one question would spawn another similar one, and before you know it, here we are. So let's crank up the rads and get straight into 101 stupid Fallout questions. When entering the Institute for the first time, meeting synth child Sean and old human Sean, since this is Fallout, we have the option to go full murder hobo on Sean and everyone else in the Institute. But there is only one way out, and that's the way we came. As we are escaping, Institute synths will spawn in the hallway to the elevator to stop our getaway. But the number that spawn here changes according to how many people in the Institute we kill. It seems to roughly follow 2 synths for each victim, but the synths sometimes can spawn in weird places, so it can be rather difficult to get an accurate head count. So, to kick this off, how many synths will spawn if you kill every single person and synth in the Institute? After a few tries, the all-time high was 87, which is kind of an odd number. I think we had a synth spawn somewhere in the ether. Ulysses from Fallout New Vegas' DLC Lonesome Road is notorious for talking about the bear and the bull and the bear. But how many times does he actually say bear or bull? He says the word bull 31 times, which is a lot, but not compared to the word bear, or sometimes two-headed bear, which he says 68 times. With over double the count of bull, this dude has an absolute obsession with the NCR.
You walked the road, brought the bear, then the bull brought me.
Humans can turn into super mutants when subjected to FEV, but how fast can that process take? According to the super mutant ending in the first Fallout, from the moment the Vault Dweller drops into the vat of FEV until their hand stops transforming, it is about 7 seconds. In Fallout 76, Dr. Blackburn subjects himself to his own unique variation of FEV, which from the moment the gas enters the chamber to when he breaks out is approximately 24 seconds. But he is not an ordinary super mutant, he is a behemoth, so perhaps all that extra body mass really does need an extra 17 seconds to grow. It's no secret that ghouls are literally falling apart, many of which have their skin flaking or sloughing off, and that made me wonder, since sweat glands reside in the second layer of skin, called the dermis, do ghouls actually sweat? The key point to answer this question is whether or not ghouls actually have skin. In Fallout and Fallout 2, although ghouls like Set can be seen with severe necrosis, he also seems to have some patches of skin remaining, like on his face. It stands to reason that these patches could still sweat. Ghouls in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, they all kind of vary, with most non-feral ghouls appearing to have patchy skin and therefore could sweat, but ferals, on the other hand, don't appear to have skin or the fatty subcutaneous layers either. Their muscles and veins are extremely prominent, and these ones probably lost their sweat glands when they lost that second layer of skin called the dermis. Fallout 4 and 76 ghouls have more skin than any others. Even the ferals seem to retain their skin, although it does appear dried out and weathered. So it stands to reason that these could feasibly sweat. In the Fallout TV show as well, most ghouls appear to have most or all of their skin, like with Cooper Howard, and therefore they probably sweat. Now I'm going to do a bunch of these, so it's important to explain it real quick, but in Fallout 4, every companion has a range of likes and dislikes. They also have different affinity levels, from the bottommost where they hate you, to the topmost where they are infatuated. So I found some of my favorite things each companion likes or dislikes, and looked how much it affected overall affinity to figure out how many times we would need to do one action to make our companions love us or hate us. Kate can be a cold Irish gal, and that is apparent by the fact that she likes it when, rather than helping recover a poor little girl's cat from Vault 81, named Ashes, we look at her cute little face and blast it back to Adam. Although Kate doesn't care about any other cat, we would need to kill Ashes 67 times and forever traumatize a young girl to earn Kate's love. Kate also dislikes it when we give a free Nuka-Cola to Sheffield in Diamond City, who is a Nuka-Cola addict, which is kind of ironic because Kate is a chem addict herself. We would need to give Sheffield 45 Nuka-Colas to take Kate from being impartial towards us to hating us with every fiber of her being. Damn, Kate, you need to chill. Repconn is one of the large, well-known tech companies from the Fallout world, but it's strange that we never actually see what the name stands for. Luckily, we can figure out most of it because the company appears to be inspired by the real-world Pepcon company, which stood for Pacific Engineering and Production Company of Nevada. Repconn does a lot with aerospace and rocket technology, therefore it probably stands for something like Rocket Engineering and Production Company of Northern Nevada? The extra N there is actually kind of tricky. If you have a better idea, let me know. New Vegas's most well-known technological autocrat, Mr. House, tells the player that he has a large laser in the Lucky 38 that he used to intercept some of the incoming nuclear missiles on the day of the Great War. So the question is, can we find this giant laser anywhere? No. But there is a random terminal down here in the bottom of the Lucky 38, and that's nearly as cool, right? Right? In the extremely short blink and you miss it tutorial sequence for Fallout 3, we get a BB gun for our 10th birthday and get to shoot some targets and a rad roach with it. Although Dad wants us to get a birthday picture after this, if we don't approach him, we can stand there and plink away at anything. So of course I wondered, how many BB shots does it take to knock our dad unconscious? James can only take 91 shots like an absolute amateur, but how many can his friend Jonas take? 105. Maybe this is the real reason why Jonas dies and our dad runs away. He was shown up by his best friend right in front of his son. Although in-game we never see vault dwellers without their Pip-Boys, and our own clothing and armor will modify itself to accommodate our trusty mini-computer, do vault dwellers ever actually remove them? In the Fallout TV show, vault dwellers are nearly always seen with their Pip-Boys on. However, there are some scenes where it's missing. In one, Steph comes straight out of the shower without her Pip-Boy. In the very first episode, we also see Lucy remove her Pip-Boy for the wedding, where she doesn't wear it for any of the ceremony, as well as the after-wedding activities, where she okied that Raider's Doki. So it seems that Pip-Boys are understandably removed for certain activities and special occasions. Everyone's favorite robot with a French accent, Curie, has some contradictory views on chems. If you convince Bobby DeLuca from Vault 81 to kick his chem habit and do it with compassionate speech options, you can get 2 affinity boosts from Curie. If you convinced Bobby to ditch his habit 34 times, that would be enough to take Curie from ambivalent to infatuated with you. And all Bobby has to do is relapse 33 times for this to happen. That sounds like a sacrifice I'm willing to make. However, breaking up a chem deal outside of Diamond City and killing Trish, a ghoul who is involved with the chem trade, makes Curie pretty mad, and you can only execute 14 drug dealers before Curie goes from neutral to hating your guts. Okay, it's not quite that simple. You do have to promise Trish that you'll let her go and then kill her anyway, but potato tomato. There are a lot of chems in the Fallout series, but which one is the most addictive? That honor easily goes to the chem Steady in Fallout New Vegas, which eliminates weapon sway when aiming down iron sights for 1 whole minute, making sniping much easier. It has an astonishing 80% addiction rate, meaning there's a good chance of getting addicted with even just 1 dose. His Holiness, Confessor Cromwell in Fallout 3 settlement Megaton is always enthusiastically engaged in spreading the good word. But how many times does he actually say the name Atom in all of his lines? the good confessor says it 36 times, which is a higher frequency than Ulysses says bear if we take into account the total number of lines that they both have in the games. Glory to Adam, brother. In the early games, random encounters only happened while traveling in the overworld, and each square on the grid had certain random encounters as possibilities. So what is the most common encounter in the first Fallout? Rad scorpions were the most common by a pretty good margin, with mole rats and raiders as a distant second and third place. The most common random encounter in Fallout 2 are geckos, followed by raiders, and then rad scorpions. Really, neither of these results should be that surprising if you've played the games. In the Commonwealth is the General Atomics Galleria that was meant to show off the abilities of Mr. Handy robots doing various things. A bowling alley is there and run completely by Mr. Handy's, but when first encountering the Galleria and asking the boss how much it would cost for a lane, he declares it would cost a staggering $5,000 or pre-war money. Even if you pick up every single shred of pre-war money, you won't come close to this amount. So if you cheat and give yourself enough money, can you actually pay for it? Yes you can. And it seems one of the only ways to go past the front counter without turning all the robots hostile is to actually pay for it. The Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test, or GOAT, can be taken in 2 separate games, Fallout 3 during the super short tutorial, and Fallout 4 where it is called the SAFE test. Being 10 questions long, does taking either of these tests have an actual effect? In Fallout 3, yes. Depending on how you answer, at the end, 3 tag skills will be proposed based on your answers, although you can always change the tag skills to whatever you want, or just skip the test altogether. In Fallout 4 though, it is exactly the same just without the last question, but the SAFE test has no effect at all. The only difference might be the dialogue from Swanson, who administers the test, as he will comment on your answers in between questions. Deacon, the Fallout 4 companion that has a penchant for lying, has something against cults, which is kind of interesting because the Railroad is borderline culty. The Pillars of the Community is a small group led by Brother Thomas, who offers a really tantalizing deal. Give him everything you own, and you can join his group. If you actually could, giving everything you own to Brother Thomas 29 times would be enough to make Deacon go from neutral to hating you. And if that happens, you need to get in Deacon's good graces once again. And to do so, you only have to murder all of the Hobologists in the Nuka World DLC 57 times by overpowering the UFO ride in the Nuka World junkyard, causing all their heads to explode. Deacon, you're kind of a sicko. Anyone ever tell you that? So if ghouls lose a lot of their skin, and in some cases most or all of it, would ghouls have eyelids? While quite thin, there are still several layers below the skin layer, so for the kinds of ghouls that haven't lost much or any of their skin, it makes sense that they would have eyelids. The ferals from Fallout 3 in New Vegas, which had the least amount of skin, have seemingly lost even the subcutaneous layers. That means that these kinds of ghouls have a good chance of not having eyelids at all, since they seem to be missing layers that would be even below the skin. Looking at the ghoul's eyes, this does seem to be the case, although some ghouls look like they have at least one eye that still has an eyelid. Jonah Loeb, a character and creature designer, mentions that this was a deliberate choice on his part, since he thought that a lack of sleep could contribute to feralization. The Cloud in New Vegas' Dead Money DLC will slowly poison and kill you, so you must move quickly through the cloud. But how fast can it kill you? Without any protective gear, perks, or skills, a level 1 courier lasts almost exactly 20 seconds on the dot. That's actually a lot longer than it feels like when you're running from almost unkillable ghost people and invincible holograms with a beeping bomb collar on your neck. Fallout 3's Broken Steel DLC is notorious for introducing incredibly strong enemy creatures, but also they buffed the health for some companions, most notably Dogmeat. With the new level cap extended to 30, Dogmeat will gain 500 HP per level, meaning he can end up having 15,000 HP when maxed out. So Looking at my loyal and brave companion, I couldn't help but wonder, how many mini nukes would it take to kill him? At level 1, with no boosts, but 100 in the big gun skill, how many direct hits does our adorable little pooch take? 16. 16 freaking mini nukes. Walk it off, Dogmeat, you'll be fine. Oh, and as a bonus, you can't actually put things in the Fallout 3 grocery carts. Sorry, boy. The Fallout TV show has some awesome action scenes and brutal violence, so I tracked the kill count for every main character, and who do you think killed more than anyone? Why, it's Hank freaking McClane with a kill count of 34,850 people. Okay, Hank nuking Shady Sands or somehow leading to the destruction of the city doesn't really count, but I did think that graph was kind of funny. Okay, no shock at all, Cooper Howard has the most kills of anyone and is far and away the highest at 22. Maximus, interestingly, is second with only 4. Our goody two-shoes Lucy is somehow in third place with 2 kills, tied with the best character in the whole show, Great Uncle Peter. Go get him, Uncle Pete. Hank McClane only has 1 raider to his name, although it was kind of a brutal kill. Steph has 1 confirmed kill. Dogmeat wasted that Enclave scientist. And Wilzig, well, yeah, you know. Vault-Tec Plan D. Banana flavored. Kellogg, Fallout 4's early game protagonist, must be confronted partway through the game, and there is no choice but to fight him. But I couldn't help wonder, how many level 1 punches would it take to kill a full health Kellogg? Fewer than you'd think, actually. Captain Cornflakes can be put down with around 47 level 1 weak-as punches. Paladin Danse is a rigid and unwavering soldier amongst the Brotherhood of Steel that hasn't had an original thought in his entire life since he is the most Brotherhood of the entire Brotherhood. As a result, he loves power armor, who doesn't, and he hates ghouls. Merely hopping into a suit of power armor will make Danse like you a little bit more, and you only need to do it 134 times for Danse to go from not really caring about you to completely obsessed. That's actually kind of reasonable. Since he hates ghouls so much though, he hates it if you flirt with Holly at the slog. Flirted up with Holly only 29 times, and that is enough for Danse to hate you from neutral affinity. In some places in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, like the Tops Casino, there are a number of black and white paintings that are in fact stylized screenshots from Fallout 3. So where do these come from? Not all of them are recognizable or even all that discernible, but the easiest to identify is this one with Tenpenny Tower in the background, although the figure in the foreground is not as easily identifiable. This picture is from Tranquility Lane of George Newsbaum in almost this exact position, and this also appears to be Tranquility Lane, but it doesn't actually match any house. There are a couple more, but I wouldn't be surprised if the rest came from Tranquility Lane in early stage builds. Managing inventory is a part of Fallout, so if something is heavy, it better be worth it to haul around the wasteland. But what exactly is the heaviest carryable item from each game? In the first Fallout, the heaviest is, unsurprisingly, power armor, specifically hardened power armor that weighs an incredibly light 100 pounds. Hardened power armor is once again the heaviest in Fallout 2, even though its weight has been cut in half, clocking in at only 50 pounds. It's still the heaviest. I promise this will get more interesting, but in tactics, it's power armor once again at 50 pounds. But Fallout 3 breaks this trend, and now the heaviest carryable item is the wood chipper, which has no use. It's only worth 25 caps and is too large to be used in the rocket launcher, meaning that this one is decidedly not worth hauling around. And it is also the heaviest object in Fallout New Vegas. Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 share the same heaviest object, which is the heaviest of all, the so-called 160-pound dumbbell, which is actually a barbell and yields 40 lead when scrapped. Is it worth hauling around though? Only if you care about the gains. Starting in Fallout 3, we can come across old playgrounds with a bunch of fun things to play on, but can we actually play with the Fallout 3 playground equipment? Well, this thing doesn't spin, The swings don't swing, and the seesaws don't saw? I don't know. You definitely can't slide down the slide or use the monkey bars, but you can climb on top and walk across the monkey bars, which is one way to use it, I suppose, but the playground still gets a failing grade because you can't really play on anything in the playground. In Fallout 4, a unique fat man known as the Striker was built before the Great War, and its whole shtick is that it fires bowling balls as ammunition rather than mini nukes. The question is though, can it live up to its name by getting strikes there at Beaver Creek Lanes where it can be found? Standing all the way back at the proper spot in the lane and firing at the pins was an absolute no-go. The bowling ball could barely knock over just a few pins. Trying halfway down the lane was barely an improvement, and firing just right in front of the pins could knock over some, but never enough. The pins are just too heavy and they don't knock into each other, which is necessary for a full strike, even at point blank. Pfft, Striker, more like Sparer if you're lucky. Hancock, the mayor of the nearly lawless Good Neighbor, is a free spirit in a lot of ways and notorious for his chem usage. Taking a chem in front of him will make him happy, and so if you ever needed to salvage your relationship with him to go from disliked to liked, you need to take a hit only 50 times. Hancock really likes the coolest gang in the Commonwealth, the Atom Cats, quite a bit, which is why wiping them out really ruins the relationship. You can only wipe out 7 power armor greaser gangs for Hancock to hate your guts. But why would you want to kill the coolest cats in the Commonwealth? Sorry, Daddy-O. In the Fallout TV show, several representatives of different companies have a meeting with Vault-Tec, and while a few were name-dropped then and there, 2 weren't. Who is this woman that was representing Repconn? Her name is Julia Masters, and she was the CFO of Repconn, at least right before the Great War. She was not great for the company though. She blocked a merger of Repconn and Robco, only to turn around and force Repconn's vice president to be removed. She assumed his responsibilities and then started to sell corporate secrets to a rival company, Poseidon Energy. You know what? She kind of was the perfect person to send to a meeting like this. Stimpaks are the magical health restoring item in all of the Fallout games, and it would be difficult to make much progress in any of the games without them. With their rapid healing capabilities, it had me wonder, could a Stimpak actually be used to kill someone? The answer is yes, and there are 2 primary ways. The oldest Fallout games, 1, 2, and Tactics, have super stims that all work in the same way, while New Vegas has them too, but they have different negative effects. The original super Stimpaks would heal for a higher amount than a normal stim, but after initial healing, after 2 minutes have passed, the user would lose 9 HP. Now this usually isn't an issue, but the health loss will stack. So if one sneakily applies several Stimpaks to an NPC with a low health total, then the HP loss after 2 minutes could be greater than their max HP, which means they dead. A more direct way that someone has died from a Stimpak though was recently shown in Fallout 76 in the Shenandoah Visitor Center from the new Skyline Valley expansion that involved someone who had contracted the new plague on a visit to the city of Watoga. Dr. McLeod inspected the scorched victim upon his return, but the doctor was attacked and forced to kill the scorched being by grabbing the closest thing nearby and stabbing it through the eye and into the brain. And that thing was a, usually, life-sustaining Stimpak. You know, I kind of want a Stimpak melee weapon now. Colonel Autumn is a high-ranking officer among the Enclave on the East Coast, and the last major obstacle to completing Fallout 3's main quest. Although he can be convinced to stand down, how many level 1 punches could Fallout 3's end boss Colonel Autumn take? 114, over double the number needed to take out Kellogg in Fallout 4. The radio songs have become an iconic part of the Fallout experience, but what is the oldest song in the whole series? I am only considering original works, not modern covers that were cheaper to license when looking at the songs. Fallout 76's song, It's Nobody's Fault But Mine debuted in 1927, making it the oldest song in the series. The newest original song in the series is in Fallout New Vegas called Sit and Dream by Laurie Strauss, and it was recorded in 2009. One of the big decisions that has a rather large impact on the world in Fallout 3 is whether to detonate the bomb at the center of Megaton, wiping the settlement off the map. But I have wondered, if you tell a companion to wait in Megaton, then run off to Tenpenny Tower to detonate the bomb, do you send your companion straight to Adam? Miraculously, no. Returning to Megaton, the companion will be outside the now destroyed walls of the city, along with any ghoulified survivors of the blast. You hid in the fridge, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Everyone knows to hide in the fridge. When Joshua Graham, the former leader of Caesar's forces, is encountered in Zion Canyon, he is seen inspecting a pile of 45 auto pistols, weapons that have special meaning for him and his heritage. If one does not approach him to initiate dialogue for the first time, he will remain there doing his task. He won't even leave anytime during the night to go to bed. So it had me wondering, how many pistols does he inspect in a full 24 hours? At about 7 guns every minute and 3 seconds, he can, and will if you let him, inspect 1,433 guns in one day. What does he do with all those guns? Heck if I know, that's like 14 times the entire population of Zion Canyon. MacCready is one of a handful of characters that we first met in the Capital Wasteland in Fallout 3 that makes an appearance in Fallout 4. MacCready can be a companion and is a no BS mercenary type who is hyper-focused on earning caps, but he has a soft spot for kids. Well, kinda. If MacCready sees you be kind of a dick to Shane Kowalski in Diamond City, a young entrepreneur, he thinks it's great. Asking Shane for work, demanding that he pay you more, and then refusing to do the work after all that haggling will make MacCready think you're a pretty cool guy. You only have to do that 17 times to have MacCready admire you. You can shatter that admiration though, if, when you find Billy the Ghoul Kid, you sell him to the passing gunner who wants him as a slave. If you are a jerk to Billy, telling him his parents are probably dead, haggle for a higher price for the Ghoul Kid, and then settle on a deal, MacCready will be pretty unhappy. And if you're mean to and sell 30 ghoul children into slavery, you will reduce all that goodwill with MacCready down to nothing. There are 2 times in Fallout New Vegas where, with an intelligence check, we can hack or override robots with hexadecimal. Hexadecimal, or just hex, is a method of counting with base 16 rather than 10, and since 16 is a power of 2, it has been and still is very useful in computer science. One of the Mr. Handies that operates as a mobile facial recognition scanner at the Repconn headquarters can have the requirement to scan your face be overridden with a hex option. But what does this hex mean? Converted to text, it says override 32, which may be a specific internal command for these Mr. Handies, or it could denote that the robots operate on 64-bit hardware, and the players having them revert to 32-bit versions of their software using the override, which could potentially cause issues. The second instance is at the gate to the strip. One of the Securitron guards can be forced to let you through if you give a response in hex. This one doesn't convert to anything discernible, but the presence of an M at the end may imply that the preceding hex allows for code injection, with the result being that the Securitron's guard protocols are changed. And I want to give a shout out to Crazy Smile for help on this one. Lucy McLean from the Fallout TV show has a pretty memorable motto: an enthusiastic okie dokie. But how many times does she say it during the TV show? 5 times, actually, with 2 in the first episode. Not quite as many as I initially thought. So playgrounds in Fallout 3 don't work, but how about in Fallout 4? Would it surprise you to learn? Yeah, you kind of can. Of course, you can crawl into the alien spaceship. You can't really go down the slide, but the swings will actually swing now, even if you can't physically swing on them yourself. What is happening? That was weird. This little spring ride can't be ridden, but it can be destroyed or moved around, and the monkey bars are just as useless as before. But the seesaws, they are perfect. You can even use them to launch objects in the air. Except, fun fact, an armed landmine, which apparently becomes Mjolnir and completely immobile. Maybe by the time Fallout 5 comes out, we can build castles in the sandbox. A rad boy can dream. The Tunnel Snakes, led by our childhood bully Butch in Fallout 3, is the local gang in Vault 101, and we can get an intro to how dumb they are, as well as a fistfight during the ridiculously short tutorial. I always wondered though, which of these Tunnel Snakes is the toughest? I was kind of surprised, but that honor goes to Butch, who can take 35 punches until he's knocked out, while Paul and Wally Mack can each only take 25. The Fallout games have always embraced choice, except when they don't, and people have found ways to complete some of the games without killing any other human. So which of the games can you complete without killing any other human? Can you in the first Fallout? Well, not really, unless you don't count off-screen deaths. You can avoid killing everyone except all the potential victims that would die when the Mariposa military base is blown up. You can convince the Master to end things himself, which will blow up the vault and the church above, and those deaths could potentially count depending on your definition. In Fallout 2 you can, if you cheese the encounter with the Enclave President and then Frank Horrigan, who blocks your path by making other people and or turrets do your dirty work. Fallout tactics? Yeah, no. Killing is kind of the point of that game. In Fallout 3 you actually can, unless we count super mutants as people in the definition, because we do have to clear out the Jefferson Memorial basement. In New Vegas you totally can with the NCR or Yes Man endings, but Mr. House and the Legion both demand that you destroy the Brotherhood of Steel, so for those two you definitely cannot. Fallout 4 also forces you to kill Kellogg in the middle of the game, and then no matter who you side with, each faction has a requirement to wipe out at least one of the others, so it is unavoidable. Fallout 76's main quest could be done without killing any human NPCs, but there are plenty of super mutants and scorched, so again it depends on how we define things. But the main quest was made without any human NPCs at all. The later updates though, not so much. Piper is a nosy but affable reporter and possible companion in Fallout 4 with a quirky side. During the Golden Grasshopper quest, it ultimately ends in us digging up the grave of Shem Drown to steal his sword, and Piper likes that. She's an amateur grave robber, and we can make her fall in love with us if we rob 67 graves. Once we've romanced her though, she will understandably hate it if we flirt with other people around her, or if we straight up ask Magnolia to Netflix and chill right in front of her face. I can explain. Incredibly, we can cheat on her with 29 people before she will completely despise us, so use that information for what you will. The Master is arguably the iconic protagonist from the whole series, and his whole plan hinges on what he calls the Unity, a plan to unify mankind by turning as many as he can into super mutants. So how many times does he say Unity in all of his dialogue? Only 8 times, surprisingly enough, even accounting for all of his different voices. Voices. This is a bit of an oddball one, but hear me out. In Fallout New Vegas, some of the caves have this feature that when viewed from a certain angle looks like an arrow pointing the way. They don't look like anything when viewed from the opposite direction, so could these arrows lead you to either the objective when entering the cave, or maybe even the exit once you've found the objective? I tried to navigate using the arrows in the Vault 19 cave, and although not every corridor has one, so there is a bit of guesswork, I was able to get to the sulfur deposits, although they did not lead me to an exit very well. The Charleston Cave near Jacobstown didn't seem to have any of these arrows to guide me to the objective, which is the dead Nightkin and chewed stealth boy at the end of the cave, but it did lead me back to the entrance rather reliably, although I did have to make a couple guesses. So, to quote my beloved Mythbusters, this myth is plausible. When you first enter Vault 81, you will always run by several sensors with a Vault 81 scientist looking into some sort of instrument, and then loudly letting everyone know that we, the character, are radiation free. Well, what if we aren't radiation free? What if we are absolutely brimming with radiation? Does his dialogue change?
No signs of radiation. Impressive.
Nope, no it doesn't. So either the sensors don't work, or he's an idiot. Or both. The addiction mechanic in the games is often thought of in connection with chems, since nearly every chem has an addiction chance, but they aren't all chem related. That said, which addiction is the worst in the series? There are some pretty bad ones that nerf our stats, but I would argue the worst is the dark craving from Fallout 4. It is only attainable in survival mode, and only afflicts the player when they eat a corpse. Why is it so bad? Well, with the dark craving, food will never satiate you, so to stay well fed, one can only consume more corpses. The worst part though is that you don't go through the normal stages of hunger. You are either completely well fed or absolutely famished, meaning that at the drop of a hat, you are given all the hunger penalties, and the only way to relieve them is to kill someone and consume a corpse, which also increases your chance of contracting a disease. Come on, Bethesda, can't a guy just make some ass jerky? Preston Garvey hardly needs an introduction. He is the ultimate middle manager of the Commonwealth. Trying to revive the defunct Minutemen, he is all about helping people, standing up to enemies, and is extremely principled. Well, most of the time. See, if you saved Preston from the Museum of Freedom and are on good terms with him, that goodwill will start going down the tubes if we give Mama Murphy some chems. He does not like that if we agree to find her chems, and again doesn't like it when we give them to her. And if Mama Murphy could survive more than 4 trips and we became her main chem dealer, we could only do this 42 times before Preston would hate us with a burning passion. But apparently we can claw our way back out of the hate by agreeing to help Fred Allen, Good Neighbor's local chem cooker and one of the many drug dealers, recover some experimental substances at Hallucinogen that, well, he isn't sure what the hell it'll do, but he is sure it'll be awesome. If we could get Freddy Boy unknown and dangerous chem ingredients 84 times, theoretically, Preston would like us again. You really are an enigma, Preston Boy. In the Fallout TV show, in that same meeting where we saw representatives from many businesses with Vault-Tec, there was another rather obscure character, the man standing in for West-Tec. That man is none other than Leon von Felden, who was the scientific head of the Forced Evolutionary Virus Project at West-Tec, and remained so after the military took over the project and moved it to the Mariposa military base. He would continue the unethical testing on human subjects until Roger Maxson, a member of the US Army who was stationed at the base and supposed to guard it, rallied his fellow soldiers to bring an end to the experimentation. Arresting all the scientists, interrogating each of them, Leon von Felden was the last to be interviewed by Roger Maxson, and partway through that interview, the Great War began. Von Felden was unceremoniously executed for his crimes, and Maxson and his group would go on to found the Brotherhood of Steel. Legate Lanius, the leader of Caesar's army and heir apparent, is an end boss for anyone in New Vegas that decides to side against the Legion. Lanius, or the Monster from the East, has earned his reputation because do you know how many level 1 punches it takes to take him out? 1,798 punches. That is several times the other bosses we have covered before, making him the veritable monster of Carpal Tunnel. So if many kinds of ghouls lose skin partially or completely, does that mean that they get sunburns? Sunburns are caused by ultraviolet radiation, and ghouls are healed by radiation, but there are a few complications. Ionizing radiation is what heals ghouls, and the type of ultraviolet that makes it to the Earth's surface is non-ionizing. So rather than potentially healing the ghouls, it would still cause cell damage through the production of free radicals, which means sunburns, which may be the reason that the Fallout 3 ghouls like to hang out in dark places, safe from the sun. Then again, in New Vegas, a bunch just hang out in the Mojave sun. Those ones are just extra crispy, I guess. Fallout 4 introduced a mechanic that lets you throw objects that you are carrying by pressing and holding the reload button. The longer you press it, the farther you can throw, and it got me thinking, could I make a basketball shot from the foul line? Took some trial and error, but after a while, yeah, you totally can. How about a half-court shot? Harder, but yes. How about scoring on the Wasteland's best defender? Ooh. Oh. Alright, I guess not. But can you do a full court shot? I tried so many times to make this shot, and I do think it is possible, but you have to get everything lined up perfectly, and sadly, I failed you all. Strong is the only super mutant companion available in Fallout 4 and can be difficult to build affinity for because he hates so many normal wasteland behaviors. Maxing his affinity can really feel like a chore. One way to do it though, if you could actually replicate this, would be to find the super mutant loner in Far Harbor called Erickson and buy one of his dogs. But not just any dog. You have to buy the super mutant one and do that only 34 times. And Strong will just melt in your arms. You just need to remember to be selective of who you help when Strong's around, because helping just anyone won't make him very happy. Mo Cronin, the baseball-obsessed merchant at Diamond City, will ask that you recover several pre-war baseball-related artifacts, and doing that 67 times will make Strong hate you. But whoa, wait, hold on. Does Strong even know how to play baseball? According to Mo Cronin, he would love this sport. The casinos on New Vegas' strip are the main attraction, drawing thousands from the lands around to come and try their luck. The 3 casinos on the strip are all different, but which of them has the most people of all the others? Clients and staff combined, the Ultra Lux is a head above the other 2 with a total of 78. It is then not a surprise that the casino with the most customers is the Ultralux as well, with 47 customers scattered in the casino, the spa, and the rather large hotel. One would expect then as well that the Ultralux has the most employees, but that is not the case. Gomorrah has more employees than either of the others, which makes sense when one realizes they are both building a small army to storm the strip, and their most popular attractions are adult in nature. The UFO that comes whistling through the sky in Fallout 4 always flies over the character and crashes off in the distance. We can visit the crash site, but if I mark where the UFO crashes on the horizon and run straight to that point, does that actually take me to the UFO crash site? Well, yeah, actually. I did it more than once, and each time I ended up just to the right of the actual crash site, but it's actually impressively close. Looking at the crash site, we can see the trail left behind by the UFO, and if we follow that trail, run a little bit into the distance, and then draw a line through the crash site to our position, and then extend that line out a ways, we can see what path the UFO took according to the trail that it left behind. And looking at it, it seems that it flew from the southeast towards the northwest. Definitely not the path we saw it take when it was flying through the sky. In Fallout 3's Blink and You Miss It tutorial, when we are supposed to escape the vault with our lives and follow after our excellent, very good, perfect father, Butch Deloria of Tunnel Snake fame, will beg our help to save his mom from 3 attacking rad roaches. But what if we just, didn't? How long does it take for the rad roaches to chew off enough of Butch's mom that she somehow outlasts her failing liver? 1 minute and 11 seconds. Not great, not terrible. Many things happen in Fallout, and sometimes that involves us entering an altered state. But how many times do we need to trip balls to complete a quest? That would be 5 quests, maybe more if we're loose with the definition though. In Fallout 3, if we drink some special sap during the initiation at Oasis, it kind of knocks us out, and we wake up in front of Harold, having been cleansed and able to be in his presence. In Fallout 3's DLC Point Lookout, during the Walking with Spirits quest, we help Desmond, a ghoul in a fierce rivalry with a pre-war elite, and we have to infiltrate a group of tribals to do so. We have to find the Mother Punga Fruit and take the seeds, which releases a gas that makes us hallucinate something fierce. Nuka Quantums exploding into baby sounds, and the skeleton of our own mother on an operating table. Man, that's messed up. In New Vegas, in the Honest Hearts DLC, we get a chance to go through initiation rites for the Sorrows tribe, which involves us consuming a tea made of datura root, a poisonous and potentially hallucinogenic plant that makes us hallucinate a large flaming Yao Guai that we have to fight and defeat in battle. In Fallout 4's Far Harbor DLC, when one wishes to join Adam's flock, we are sent on a journey to drink from Adam's spring, after which, in spiritual euphoria, we are led by the Mother of the Fog to an icon that grants us admission into the fold. Lastly, in Fallout 76, there is a small quest where we are to create Nuka Shine, a Nuka Quantum-based moonshine that was created by a pre-war fraternity that gets you wicked drunk, and upon consuming it, we black out and find ourselves in a random part of the map. Codsworth, our ever-faithful robot servant that is still maintaining our home 210 years later, has very robust ethics subroutines, and he is straight as an arrow, that one is. As a result, he also hates it if you provide chems for people, especially Mama Murphy, and doing so 44 times will make Codsworth dislike you immensely. But you can recover all of that and make him admire you again by giving 100 ghouls a home, just like with the Vault Tech representative. Fallout 2's big bad is the infamous Frank Horrigan, a mutated Enclave power-armored super soldier that is wholly dedicated to the Enclave's cause of cleansing the world of mutated beings. He blocks your path at the end of the main quest and cannot be convinced to stand down, but I did wonder, how many times in his dialogue does he say mutant, mutie, or some other variation? 8 times, which isn't all that much, but there's really only one that actually matters.
Your ride's over, Mutie. Time to die.
Having a companion in the Fallout games means sometimes they're just gonna get shot. Hey, I don't make the rules around here, I just break them. So how many shots does it take to aggro our companions from each game? In the first Fallout, 1 shot. Hit or misfire can turn a companion hostile towards you in combat, which is unfortunate because in this game, more than any, it is so easy to hit your companions if they are standing even remotely close to your target. In Fallout 2 though, no amount of shots or hits will turn your companions hostile. They will downright let you kill them before they turn on you, which is a complete 180 from the first game. Fallout Tactics, well, it's a squad-based shooter, so the squad mates are all under your control, and it doesn't really count. Fallout 3 is interesting because no matter what is used against your companion, 4 shots or strikes is all it takes to turn them hostile towards you. Fallout New Vegas did the same exact thing in Fallout 2, and companions, when they are following you that is, will not turn hostile even if you shoot them until they fall unconscious. The last of the Fallouts with conventional companions is Fallout 4, where once again, no matter how much damage is done, it will not turn our companions against us, even if they are put into a downed state several times. Down, Bessie! So we know the fastest one can turn into a super mutant, but what is the fastest one can turn into a ghoul? The best way to measure this is in Fallout 3, where we can divide Megaton in Adam's sight, detonate the bomb, and immediately fast travel from Tenpenny Tower to Megaton and look at how much time has elapsed where we encounter Brother Gerard and Moira Brown, who have ghoulified, and Mother Curie III, who has ghoulified and gone feral. And all of this only happened in approximately 1 hour and 1 minute. It's a far cry from the literal seconds it takes for super mutants, but maybe one day we will get a better answer. Blood bugs are one of the new giant insects introduced in Fallout 4, and they would like nothing more than to suck your blood. Sometimes a special animation attack will occur in first person, where the blood bug goes straight for our chest, shoves their huge proboscis into us, and slurps out some life juice just before we can push them away. The thing is, would getting stabbed in the chest with such a large proboscis even be survivable? You can loot a proboscis off of a blood bug, and this is a bit smaller than the one that we see on the actual in-game model, but if this one is large enough to be lethal, then the larger one is too. I used a baseball to get the relative sizes, and then used the average diameter of a regulation-sized baseball to get the diameter of the proboscis and the length, and ended up with a diameter of 0.44 inches, or 1.1 centimeters, and a length of 9.24 inches, or 23.47 centimeters. So, to put this into perspective, it is equivalent to having a number 4 rebar, which is commonly used to reinforce concrete walls and columns, shoved into your chest around 9 inches. And the average American chest depth, or bust, is around 10 inches. So, yeah. Being stabbed straight into the chest makes this more likely than not to be fatal, although nothing is 100% certain. The last of the companions that we will be looking at is Detective Nick Valentine himself. This synth detective is crucial to advance the plot and makes a pretty witty and charming pal to run around the Commonwealth with, but he also has some rather contradictory likes and dislikes. In a conversation between a father and son at Bunker Hill, the sole survivor can speak his own mind by commenting that it's a good thing to help other people, which Nick does like. But if the sole survivor then comments and says that saving synths is noble, well, that is where our synth buddy has a problem because he apparently hates that. Tell 29 people that you think saving synths is noble, and your relationship will reach a hostile end. Nick loves it when we hack terminals that aren't owned by other people, so we would only need to hack 267 terminals to win back Valentine's admiration and make him infatuated with us. That sounds doable. Just, let's see. Yep. Perfect. 1 down, 266 more to go, and he will be my Valentine. In the Fallout TV show, we see the former Enclave scientist, Wilzig, relieve Lucy of the burden of traveling with him and his mangled leg with Vault-Tec Plan D, a cyanide pill. Since it was a Vault-Tec product, made with a pleasant banana flavor and everything, it is over 200 years old by the time Wilzig takes it, which made me wonder, would cyanide still be effective after 200 years, or would it have degraded too much? The various forms of cyanide that could be used in the pill all will degrade with exposure to light, air, moisture, or carbon dioxide, at which point they would degrade into a cyanate, which is not nearly as dangerous as cyanide in the same amounts. So, it is possible that the Plan D pills can still work as advertised if they were adequately sealed or never opened, and left in a cool, dry place for the last 200 years. Cars throughout the series are well known for their explosive capabilities, and due to their nuclear propulsion, these are some mighty fine explosions. Oh yeah, baby. Of course, the cars take damage when shot at, but will they take damage from us punching them to the point that they blow up? The cars in Fallout 3 are the first up, and I stopped counting at 137 punches because we just weren't going anywhere. So after all those punches, I saw how many shots it took from a 10mm to light the car on fire, which was 7. I reloaded the save, and then without punching the car, I shot it again with the 10mm to see if it needed to be shot more than 7 times, because that would imply that the punches were actually doing damage. Nope. 7 shots and the car lit on fire, meaning that punching the cars in Fallout 3 does no damage at all. In Fallout 4, things are different though. Besides pushing the cars a small distance with each punch, the car explodes with nuclear fury after 14 punches, and I tried that again, doing gun bashes this time, which ended up detonating the car at around 13 pistol whips. If punching your car 14 times makes it blow up in a fireball, I would hate to see what a little fender bender would do. There you have it, 101 stupid questions and their answers. If you liked this, let me know, and if you have a silly question you have wondered about, you can write it in the comments and maybe I can make another one of these with your input. A big thank you to my supporters on YouTube and Patreon. I really appreciate the support, and it is humbling to see so many of you going the extra mile in showing me that support. A big welcome to new patrons, John McGrath and Silver on Patreon, and Liquid Red, Unky Nick, Richie and Kowiak, Switchblade, and H. Yeah, just the letter H, over on YouTube. As always, a huge thank you to my top tier supporters, Acrid B, Gardner Minshew Simp, Dami Double, Tapey Papey, Juan Vader, Good Old Wilshire, Braden Daniel, Tyler Eaton, Owen Balzer, and 94, Tessa Storm, and Unky Nick. Adam is pleased. Please everyone take care of yourselves and all of Adam's creations. Walk in his holy glow, and I will see you soon.